All right, I think it's about that time. So I want to thank everybody for joining in today. It's great to see all your faces. I wish we could all be together in person, and hopefully that'll happen soon. But in the meantime, this is a welcome break from the monotony of being stuck in my house in my office and getting to see everybody and having some normalcy in our life. So I really appreciate you joining today. So this time we'll call to order the May 12th meeting of the Rotary Club of Greenville, and I will call on Scott Stevens for our invocation and pledge.
Thank you, Scott. Join me in prayer. Almighty God, thank you for the opportunity to come together as like-minded people who seek the best for our country. We pray for peace, for wisdom, and for discernment as we work to make America a better place for all people to live. We pray for our elected leaders, that you would guide and direct them, and that they would make the decisions that it will be best for everyone. We pray for those who are charged with protecting us, both here and abroad, that you would keep them safe from harm. Thank you for the opportunity to serve our community through Rotary and help us to make a positive impact wherever we are. Bless our time together. Bless our city, our state, and our nation. And bless everyone here as we seek to serve others for your glory. Amen. And you all should see a flag over my shoulder here. If you'll join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Just got just a few announcements. We had a cleanup day scheduled for this Saturday at the Rotary Park for North Main, and that's been postponed or canceled. Hopefully, things are starting to open back up, so hopefully that'll be rescheduled soon. Caroline will let us know. This past week was National Teacher Appreciation Week, and while some people, it seems like school's canceled. The school's not been canceled. It's just school from home. Although my wife's teacher, and I think some of her students think school's been canceled because I hear her calling them and their parents a lot. But it's probably even more challenging for the teachers, particularly the teachers of high poverty schools, to try to educate their children remotely. So last week we did. Jane and I joined them for a teachers meeting. And our Rotary Club paid for Eddie B., he's a former teacher who's a comedian, and he really talks the teacher's language and is really funny. And so at the end of the teachers meeting, they had some awards they gave, and Eddie B. spoke, was pretty entertaining, and we got lots of emails and notes from the teachers thanking us for that. And then we also donated a $10 gift card to Chick-fil-A for each one of the staff members at Alexandria Elementary School, and they were very appreciative of that. So we've still asked them to let us know the ways that we can help, particularly the needy families, and we'll be available to do that whenever they call upon us. So that's really all my announcements right now, and I would like to, if anyone has any questions or comments, though, like during the speaker, if you can, there's a chat feature to this. If you move your mouse down to the lower part, there's a thing that says chat. A little sidebar will come up, and it's a great way to particulate. When John speaks, people might want to have questions to ask John, but that's a good way to go ahead and ask that question, and we can make sure it gets answered. And that's to communicate here, where most of us are muted. So feel free to do that. While we have had several people join our club, and I think it's important that we recognize them. So today I want to introduce two of our new members to our club. First is Forrest Gentry. Forrest recently moved to Greenville from Washington, D.C. He is a sales rep for the Mind Gym, Inc., which is a professional training and development firm that's based out of New York City. He's lived in D.C. for a couple of years, but really can work remotely. So he does in-person or virtual manager development, which in types of programs would just be like inclusion or soft skill developments type stuff. grew up in High Point, North Carolina, and went to school at Wake Forest University. He has a girlfriend who finished graduate school in Atlanta and is from the Atlanta area. And so Greenville ended up being kind of a midpoint for them. So he's recently moved here 4.5 months ago and is very happy to be here. Interesting fact is that his dad has been a member of the High Point, North Carolina Rotary Club for over 30 years, around 30 years. And so Forrest kind of grew up attending meetings whenever his dad thought he would enjoy the speaker, and his dad had signed him up to be a Paul Harris Fellow. So that's great news. When Ashway decided to move to Greenville, he just knew that he wanted to be involved in Rotary, and ran into Ramona Farrell, and she encouraged him to visit our club, and so he joined. His hobbies include playing jazz guitar, anything outdoors like hiking, camping, or outdoor sports. So I'd like to welcome one of our new members, Forrest Gentry. Forrest, welcome to the club, and we look forward to everybody meeting you in person.
Thanks, Scott. Looking forward to meeting everybody.
All right, our second new member is Larry Bartholomew. Larry and his wife, Lisa, graduated from Clemson in 1997, and Larry is a civil engineer with ADC Engineering. He moved to Greenville to start the Greenville office for ADC in January of 2015. Well, I had the pleasure of working with Larry on projects down on the coast in the Charleston area. He worked out of their Hanahan office in the Charleston area. I worked with him there, so when he moved to the Greenville office and started him, I was able to start working with him. So I can validate that he's a very talented civil engineer and recommend him if you ever need any civil engineering work. Larry is Larry Bartholomew IV. His son is Larry Bartholomew V. They call him LB. He's 15 years old and goes to school at Riverside High School. And he has a daughter, Kaylee, who's 13. He enjoys running. He likes to call me up and ask me how far I run, so he can point out that he ran a lot farther than me. He also enjoys hiking, anything outdoors. And he joined Rotary just because he's looking to ways to connect and help with the community. So we would like to welcome Larry Bartholomew to the club. So welcome, Larry. All right, so at this time, welcome to those new members. And this time I'd like to call on Bob Howard for member news.
Okay, get myself unmuted. I think I'm unmuted. I'd first like to welcome Forrest Gentry to the club, and I understand from that introduction that he has a mind gym, and this is what I've been looking for, because my doctor wants me to go to the gym more, and if I could go to sign up with him and just think about going to the gym and get medical credit for that, that's what I've been looking for in my whole life. So Forrest, you know, my name's in the member directory. Contact me. I've got to have those services. I want to tell the doctor I'm going to the gym multiple times a day. So see if that makes a difference in my medical results, and I'll let you know if it does. We've got some member news. Keith Miller was in MPG, Marketplace Greenville, the Greenville News Sunday insert. Good article about Keith. Greenville Tech was also has been in the news a lot of ways. There was an article in, I guess this was also in Marketplace Greenville, MPG. Greenville Tech and Phyllis Wheatley announcing ex-offender reentry center, and then also in the news for donating supplies to Prisma Health. Greenville Tech has a big nursing program, and we had supplies there that we could donate to, or they could donate. It's not we anymore. They could donate to Greenville Tech, and so congratulations to Keith for thinking about that. Also, Gary Caldwell was in the news. This year is his 15th anniversary year. He had an online video interview with GSA Business Report, and they have a series called GSA Coffee With People, and he was the person that they had virtual coffee with, and you can see that online. It was a real good article attached to it too, also telling about, I printed out a copy 15 years of Caldwell Constructors, talked about starting in 2005 with the founding and going on to retail centers, to office buildings, to include one of the 3-story office buildings in Hollingsworth Park, talking about distribution centers they've built. A 225,000-foot distribution center was discussed, and a recent project, Woodside Mill, the largest textile mill under a single roof, converting that into 309 apartments and amenity areas, so huge projects. He also got an article in Upstate Business Journal and talking about even more projects. So congratulations to Gary. Kathy McAfee, America's Marketing Motivator is what her title is. She's been asked to be one of the keynote speakers for a 3-night virtual celebration for Small Business Week. She was invited to that by the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce up near Charlotte. It's going to be on Facebook Live. Information about tuning into her is available on her website. Her website is just, you can look up in the membership directory her email, and it's her at americasmarketingmotivator.com. And so that's what her website is. So that's how you get into touch with her. I'll just conclude with my just a final story. I was thinking about the South Carolina legislature is trying to figure out how to meet and how to, during this time, and wind up the season and pass the budget and all that. I was reminded when I was living in Columbia, a state senator who is a friend told me a story. This is a true story. This is in the records of the South Carolina legislature. They write all the debate down, and all that is just like the congressional record. They've got their version of it. The story I'm about to tell you is in there because it is true. It was a long time ago. I think it was maybe the 20s or the 30s, and financial times were tough. There was a very powerful state senator, and people always wanted to be nice to him because he had a lot of power. You didn't want to too openly disagree with him because he had so much power. But anyway, they were debating one year the problem that South Carolina didn't have enough textbooks for its school students. The budget was tight, and we didn't have enough money to buy those books for our students. And what should we do? And this senator got up and said, well, I tell you what, we have a bunch of prisoners. Let's just give them a copy of the book, and let's just get them just to copy the book. Let's just get them, they got all this time on their hands. Let's just get them to sit there and just copy on paper the book, and we'll put the paper together, and they'll just make the textbooks. They got time. And so the senators, they wanted to be respectful of him, but that was obviously madness. And so they got up and they said, well, oh, Senator, that's such a great idea, but, copyright law. And, there'd be a problem with copyrights. And the next one, to talk about copyrights. And the next senator, it was a great idea, but, copyrights. And at the conclusion of the debate, the senator said, copyright. I'm sick of hearing about copyrights. They's prisoners, ain't they? We'll make them copy it right. So that's the thought of the day.
Okay, everybody. We're so fortunate today to have John Lummus join us. John Lummus serves as the president and CEO of the Upstate South Carolina Alliance. He is responsible for driving the overall direction of the alliance, as well as the developing relationships and supporting collaboration through the region. Prior to his current position at Upstate South Carolina Alliance, John served as the Vice President of Economic and Institutional Advancement at Tri-County Technical College, a position he held for 8 years. John also served as Director of the Anderson County Office of Economic Development and worked to recruit new industry while supporting existing industry throughout the county. A native of Anderson, John is a graduate of Wake Forest University and received his master's degree in public administration from the University of South Carolina. He is also a graduate of the South Carolina Economic Developer School, USC's Higher Education Leadership Program, and the National Executive Leadership Institute conducted by the League of Innovation and Community Colleges. In May of 2015, John received his South Carolina Certified Economic Developer certification, and I can't imagine a more appropriate time to have John come speak to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane, and the whole club for inviting me to speak. This year, the Upstate Alliance celebrates its 20th anniversary. This occasion has already had us revisiting some foundational questions like, what is economic development and why do we do it? Like many others, we started 2020 with ambitious plans for the future. We had a really good first quarter and anticipated that the economy would continue to hum along. Instead, we've seen unprecedented economic change since March 2020 due to the coronavirus. That change brings additional attention to the role of economic development. Again, before we explore this idea, I'd like to thank you for having me to speak today. I love Rotary. I was a member of the Greenville Rotary Club back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then I was a member of the Anderson Rotary Club and served as the president about 10 or 12 years ago. So I really enjoy Rotary. I really enjoy speaking at these clubs as well. And I was glad to see that your new member, Forrest, was a Wake Forest Demon Deacon. I'm also a Wake Forest graduate, and we need more Demon Deacons in the Upstate. So glad to have him here as well. I'm glad that y'all tuned in today and you're interested in this topic. So what is economic development? Economic development increases the prosperity of a community so that all people in industry have an opportunity to thrive. We all know that economic development is a team sport, and we all have a role to play. Most city and county leaders work to build communities to provide infrastructure and build a sense of place. And most city and county economic developers serve as a connector to the business community. They help identify and plan for companies' needs. They represent your community to prospective industries, and they work to provide the support to support your industry's needs to sustain their success. Since the coronavirus, they've focused heavily on existing industry support. And I know we have Tavia from the Greenville Area Development Corporation on the call today. So that's, I know, been very much on her mind and the mind of the GADC as well as the city of Greenville. At the Upstate SC Alliance, our mission is to position the Upstate to excel in the global economy through strategic marketing, collaboration, and thought leadership. Simply put, we wake up every day thinking about the region's economic future and work to make it a reality. And education, private business, all play a part in making our region a viable location as well. The heart of our work is building relationships with site selectors, international trade offices, industry leaders, and companies with a strategic interest in the Southeast, in South Carolina, and hopefully the Upstate of South Carolina, so that they understand the Upstate's business environment and regional assets. So, how do we sell the Upstate? The best way to sell the region is to show who has come here and who has been successful. On this list, you see some of the world's best known company names, and they have chosen to make the Upstate their home. These companies have chosen to be within the Upstate's 10-county region because of our connection between Atlanta, Charlotte, as well as a lot of other reasons. You can reach 100 million people within a one-day driving distance of the Upstate of South Carolina. We're in the center of the East Coast in a perfect logistical position for businesses wanting a strategic southeastern location. We talk about the number of manufacturers and specialized companies here, as well as competitive utility costs and low unionization rates. We've got 1,946 manufacturers in the Upstate, and that's an incredible number for the size of our region. In order for the Upstate to distinguish itself from other regions, it's important that we track the changes and trends in the global business environment. This has been true for decades. And with the changes we've seen as a result of the coronavirus, understanding these changes, trends, and being part of the emerging solutions is more important now than ever. We follow these changes so that we can regain our economic health and continue to adapt and stay ahead. Today, I'd like to share how this is guiding our approach. First, focusing on target industries: aerospace, automotive, engineered materials, and life sciences. We recognize that our region has the right assets to support these companies. And these companies are good targets because they are growing and because they are complex with technology and research that makes them competitive in the global marketplace. We've recently added food and beverage to stay ahead of the curve as that industry grows. And we project our life sciences landscape will continue to grow as manufacturers for pharmaceuticals and medical devices return to the U.S. That leads us to embracing innovation. From automation and technology to increasing efficiency and output to new products or processes, intellectual property gains help build wealth. Our target industries for recruitment are ones that engage in trade, that increase efficiency in existing industries, or that bring more professional opportunities. It's also important to recognize that technology is changing how businesses operate, and that's not something to fear. As so many businesses and people have demonstrated during stay-at-home orders, technology can enable people to work from anywhere. And in some cases, technology can make it possible for production to continue with less reliance on people. That's a factor in some of the recent announcements. Some companies are investing in equipment that enables them to produce more products with fewer people. That makes them more competitive, and it creates higher caliber job opportunities for us. Another way we're adapting is welcoming smaller projects. You're probably used to large economic investments, the big projects that bring millions of dollars and hundreds of jobs. Though many companies are expanding to new markets in smaller ways, many of them providing technology solutions that enhance existing manufacturing operations, and they're looking to test the waters with a small presence before making big investments. We're welcoming them through our landing pad initiative, connecting them to workspaces, the region's industry and support assets, and private service providers to help them enter the marketplace. It's important to recognize that these smaller businesses entering the market may not make a splash today, but they bring high-wage jobs and are poised for growth at slower, more sustainable rates. Each of these trends above affects our business and our economic development process, though people are at the core of what we do. And companies need talented employees to succeed. The Upstate's K-12 and workforce development partners are fostering future talent. And I think South Carolina does a great job with this. And we're working to connect employers to talent today by connecting employers with talent to make it happen. Through our Move Up Talent initiative, we're helping existing companies to connect with the talent they need. Move Up is a website and brand that shows what it's like to live, work, and play in the Upstate, complete with a job board and interactive cost of living calculator. Move Up is a resource for any Upstate businesses to use to connect with their job candidates. And we're selling Upstate opportunities as a way that job seekers can move up in their careers through a digital marketing campaign. As you can see, there are many factors to consider. And possibly the most important one is ensuring that we maintain a stable business environment. Economic success depends on a business-friendly, stable climate at the federal, state, and local levels. As the coronavirus has shown us, uncertainty is bad for business, which is bad for our livelihoods. Though we respond to uncertainty, such as the state's collaborative Accelerate SC initiative, we can help make us a stronger place to live through these type of initiatives. Policy continues to affect growth, prosperity, and our ability to recruit new business. Since you are influential leaders in Greenville and in the Greenville business community, we encourage you to take these trends and opportunities into account as you plan for your community. Before I conclude, are there any questions? And I will, I believe, take questions that come up on the chat, or you can ask them individually. But let me finish. We are the regional group that works to bring everybody together to make the economy stronger in the Upstate. We work very closely with the county, Greenville County, GADC, the city of Greenville, city of Greer, and others, and support them through our marketing and business recruitment and research efforts. We've seen that during the shutdown, people have continued to work together, even from afar. As we come out of the economic downturn, it's even more important to work together as a region. And we see you as ambassadors for Greenville. You are ambassadors for the Upstate as a region. You are ambassadors for economic development. And you are hopefully ambassadors for the work of the Upstate SC Alliance. We'll have to continue to work together to continue to be successful. That's the value of Team Upstate, working together to advance the region, even if it's one conversation at a time. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with your group today, and I'm glad to take any questions that you may have, and I'm going to start looking at the group chat for questions. Yeah, that's the first one. Okay. Rob Rowan, no, excuse me, yeah. You want to, which one?
Just read them, whatever.
Okay. Rob Rowan, what do you see as, excuse me, what do you see as how this crazy economy will affect us in the next 6 months? I truly feel like the Upstate of South Carolina and Greenville are well positioned, and as well or better positioned than anyone else to come out of, the pandemic situation. I think the fact that we have a lot of manufacturing here, the manufacturers that have continued to be successful during the pandemic, that have continued operating and doing a great job. I think that you're going to see us come out of this pretty well. The fact that we do have a diverse manufacturing sector and business sector is going to help us also. It's been interesting to see that, Greenville was the textile capital of the world. We still have an incredible textile presence, and that has come to the forefront during the pandemic. And I think that's going to also help keep us very strong as we move forward. Okay, from Christine Braswell Amin, how many people actually work for the Upstate Alliance? We have 11 staff members here, and we are set up. We have a business recruitment area. We have a public relations and investor recruitment area. We have a marketing area and also research. So we do a lot of different things here, but again, we support our public sector partners, our cities and counties with their economic development efforts. And then we work very closely with our private sector investors. We have about 200 total investors in the Upstate Alliance, and we see our role is helping collaboration and helping business to be successful in the Upstate. Next question from Steve Fowler. Has Tesla shown any appetite to developing manufacturing on the East Coast, specifically Greenville? Not yet, but we would sure like them to. They've got kind of mad at the folks out in California this week. I saw that they reopened yesterday, and they were talking about moving headquarters and operations to Nevada and Texas. But Tesla is one that I know has been on the radar screen of a lot of people. And if they made the decision to move to the Upstate, we would certainly welcome them. Connie Lanzi, Lenzel says, what percentage of the economy is dependent on the hospitality industry? And do you have any insight on regaining that momentum? You know, I don't know the exact numbers of our economy dependent on the hospitality industry. However, I have seen data that shows that the Upstate region and Greenville, Spartanburg particularly have had a lot of more jobs affected by this than a lot of other areas. So I think we do have a large hospitality and accommodation sector that has been critically affected. And, you know, some of the things you've seen this week with the restaurants reopening first for outside dining and inside dining, I think that's going to help us to get moving forward. I think it's going to be a while before everybody, you know, gets up and running to the levels that they were. But I think that we've got a great city, and I think we're going to come back pretty quickly. Adam Dost asks, how many job losses or company closings do we know about so far? And have there been companies who have canceled their development or moved to the Upstate? We've been having calls with our local economic developers throughout the region. And I know at the beginning, it was indicated that there were some companies, manufacturing companies is what we deal with mostly and hear about, that had closed down as a result of maybe people testing positive for the COVID-19 virus. Some of those had to be cleaned, they reopened. I don't know of any particularly that are still closed due to that. I know that the automotive sector had some slowing, but that seems to be ramping back up with BMW opening back up operations. So I'd say for the most part, the great percentage of manufacturing companies in the Upstate are open. And that's been a great thing. In regard to other businesses, I mean, retail, commercial, I mean, you've seen how many have closed and are starting to reopen. But in regard to how many have canceled their development or moved to the Upstate, in regard to our projects, I don't know of any that have canceled. There have been some that, or our prospects, I should say, that we have worked with that have put things on hold during this time, but we've still been getting inquiries from companies, you know, since the middle of March, and we've actually sent out a lot of information, or what we call RFIs, requests for information to our public economic development partners during this time. Let's see, next question from Kirk Wilson. What Upstate resources do you recommend for startup and early stage companies? I think the Upstate, and particularly Greenville, does a really good job with, you know, entrepreneurship and startup. I think the next program through the chamber is excellent. That would be one of the first groups that I would go to. I think small business development centers provide a lot of that information, and particularly now since the pandemic has taken place, the Small Business Administration that obviously works with small business development centers has been a great resource for that. I think also the South Carolina Department of Commerce has done a really good job with their website and providing a lot of information for businesses. And then the SCRA, or the South Carolina Research Authority, has a lot of resources for this. They also have a program that will help fund early stage development of companies. And so I'd say that's another good resource. From Gary Lyons, John, what industry sectors that have a presence in the Upstate do you anticipate doing the best as we come out of the recession? You know, I think during my presentation, I talked about, I think we're going to see a lot more of the pharmaceutical companies moving back to the U.S. I think, obviously, in the short term, a lot of the PPE or protective equipment manufacturers are going to look to locate here. So I think in the life sciences, and then also in food manufacturing, I think we're going to see a lot more food companies want to locate closer to their markets because of disruption in supply chains, but also because people worry about safety of their food. Those are going to be a couple of things. I think we'll see as the economy starts to turn back around, the automotive sector is going to stay really strong. I think all the sectors are going to come back eventually, but in the near term, I think we're going to see a lot of opportunities in life sciences and food particularly. All right, Ryan Thackeray. I've heard that many businesses, especially those recruiting international employees, use our great state parks and public outdoor spaces as a recruitment tool. Is there truth to that? I work for the Nature Conservancy and wonder how we can support these efforts. I think, in the big overall, I think quality of life is a huge thing to all companies that are going to look here, particularly international companies. And international companies that we talk to, we notice they talk a lot about sustainability, about environmental consciousness, and they're very interested in that. So I think that's a big thing, and I think it's going to become a bigger thing for people. Particularly think about, companies that have been in a big city and have not had the opportunities to do that during the pandemic. And they have seen that, what we have here in Greenville and the Upstate in that regard, I think is going to help with our efforts. Sunny Honda, I'm a financial planner and thinking about joining the Upstate Alliance. How do you help small business owners like me to contribute to the Upstate Alliance, market their services with networking opportunities? Sonny, I'm so glad to hear that you're thinking about joining the Upstate Alliance. Thank you so much. We do have a lot of small businesses that are members of our group. We're an investor-based group, and we have a lot of opportunities for our investors to network. Obviously, right now, that's limited to some extent other than by Zoom. But we had, I think, 56 different investor networking opportunities last calendar year. So that's one of the biggest ways. And then also, as companies are looking at the Upstate, your company can come in front of those folks to let them know what your services are. So I would like to get in touch with you or have Lawrence Goggins in our office get in touch with you and talk a little bit more about that. So thank you. Scott Powell has a question. John, we have opportunities for you to join the Rotary Club of Greenville. Thank you, Scott. I knew that question was going to come up. Lawrence Goggins in our office is a member, and she's really enjoyed it. I would certainly, consider that in the future. Scheduling has been a problem for me in doing that, but that's something I'll certainly, consider. And I'm just glad that you want to have somebody like me in your club. Our reputation isn't so good, so thank you. Okay, I guess if that's all the questions, do we have any others that you want to ask me? I'm glad to answer anything.
Hey, John, hear me? It's Ramona.
Hey, Ramona, how you doing?
Good. So I'm kind of curious with your organization and then with the virus, like lessons learned, and how are you doing business differently that even coming out of this, you might continue to have adopted, the way you're doing business during the pandemic?
I couldn't hear you really good, Ramona, but I think what you were saying, go ahead and say that again.
Oh, so you did hear. Okay. So lessons learned, for your organization while in this pandemic, again, just lessons learned. And if you've changed the way you've been doing business, does it change that coming out of the pandemic continue, right? Because it's been a good change for the organization.
I think the biggest lessons learned is a couple of things. Number one, that I was really fearful when all this started about the work from home and how that was going to work, although I had complete confidence in our staff. But we found that we've been able to do a lot of our work from home, and we've been able to continue to do a lot of our projects and things like that. I think that one thing that we'll see in economic development would be moving forward is that we are going to be able to do a lot of what we do by Zoom or however we do it virtually. I still think, though, that getting a client to commit to putting a facility here or investing lots of money, you're still going to need that personal interaction on some basis. I think that we're going to see a lot of things change, but I think that we're going to see some of the things stay the same as we can moving forward. But we've been very active during this time, and I think that we can continue to do so. Danielle was putting up quite that. Is that part of what Ramona was asking?
There's another question.
Okay. Ramona, did I answer? Because I couldn't hear everything you were saying. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Adam Doss says it would be great to have a more comprehensive summary of business and economic impact of current events on the Upstate. Is there something in the works to document the impact? Also, what programs or strategies has the Upstate Alliance implemented to support companies rebuilding? I know that we have a lot of research data information that we have looked at. It's hard to know because we rely on data which is reported after the fact, and it's hard to get a comprehensive picture right now. But I know that one of our databases that we have has been providing us some information on that. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, we would certainly like to talk with you about that. And I'd be glad to provide that. Second part of your question: what programs or strategies has the Upstate Alliance implemented to support companies rebuilding? One of the things that we have done is when it comes to existing industry, our local economic developers really handle that portion. What we've tried to do is provide as much information through resources to those folks and to our investor companies to help them to know what they can connect with the GADC or the City of Greenville or the South Carolina Department of Commerce in doing that. So that's been really more in their role. However, I think just us continuing to try to provide information is going to be something good moving forward. Stan Reed says, please provide the percentage of employment in manufacturing in the Upstate and what are the prospects for this increasing in the next 2 to 5 years. Region-wide, we're about 16% manufacturing. Greenville County is probably about that. Some of our counties have a little bit more. I know Lawrence County has 40%. I think that there are prospects for that number to increase. However, as you've seen with robotics, with technology, companies are really relying more on technology than hiring. However, I think some of the industries that we are looking to start recruiting that we think will be more interesting in coming year potentially are more employee. They hire more people. I'm trying to think how to say that best, but food manufacturing projects, the pharmaceutical, the PPE. I think what we're going to see though is the knowledge economy increasing here with technology, more IP development. I think that we'll see more professional employment over time, but I still think that manufacturing is going to continue to be a huge thing for our economy moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Rob Rowan says, John, Upstate Alliance leads in how it is always willing to partner with other organizations in the Upstate. Oh, that wasn't a question. That was a comment. I like this one. In the Upstate in South Carolina, you should be commended for that. Thank you, Rob. Ryan Thackeray, one more question. Is there a push or effort to bring more businesses downtown so people moving to all of the housing being developed downtown can truly live and work in the city, maybe avoid some potential traffic issues? Ryan, again, we don't do things on the downtown development. However, I do know that what you are seeing trend-wise is trying to get more affordable housing into the downtown areas. And then, also how can we have a more viable bus service, transit service in Greenville to prevent, a lot of the traffic problems that we have. But again, a lot of these things are going to potentially change after the coronavirus. We've got to really look at how people are going to be using mass transit and things of that nature. But I still think that is one of the most important things that we need to do in Greenville County is to continue to improve our transit system and also have affordable housing for people. John Kent says, can you briefly discuss opportunity zones? I can do my best. Opportunity zones are a federal program that encourage investment in lower income type areas. In the Upstate, all of our 10 counties have at least some opportunity zones. I know that there are a lot in Greenville County and City, and the push behind that is to give tax credits to developers that will come in and invest monies on a more long-term basis than you see in a lot of cases. I think it's a great program. I think that we have seen some good projects that have started here in Greenville for that. I think it's something that particularly can help develop some of our old mill sites and some of the areas of the city that may need that development. So I think it's a great program, and I think you're just sort of seeing the rollout of it right now. Okay. Any other, okay, that was my last written question. Anybody have any other questions? I love to answer questions. And occasionally I even answer it correctly.
John, thank you for joining us today. John and I were in a leadership Greenville class of 23, which unfortunately is about 25 years ago, I think. So it doesn't seem that long. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us today and for all you're doing. And we'll continue to do to spur our economy and get us back to where we were. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
I did see Mike Taylor had joined us, who is our district assistant governor. So we want to welcome him. If there are any other members or guests that have joined us, we appreciate you joining in, and feel free to join us from here on out. Hopefully we'll all be together and can meet in person before too long. On that note, I have touched base with Fabian, and he's anxious to get the hotel open back up, but we're going to touch base on May the 25th, and we'll see where we are in terms of reopening and being able to meet in person in June. Still don't know what all the rules are, like buffet kind of style, what would happen, but we'll start that conversation and get back with you. I saw Zane Metter is also on the call, and Zane would condolences for passing your father. It sounds like he was just a wonderful person. I know you'll be missed, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. In our next meeting, will be on May the 26th. Look for information to come. We will be having Aaron Jones and the Bob Jones Museum and Gallery who's with us talk to us. Bob Jones has the largest religious collection of art in the United States, and it's pretty amazing things that happen, and they're actually looking at opening up and doing some things maybe potentially off campus. I guess we'll hear about that next month or next meeting. But there's some exciting things happening there that I think she's going to share with us. And we'll also have with us one of our Rotary scholars, Reed Howell, will be with us, and Judith Prince is lining up some of these scholars now that school's out, so that we can hear from them and what their plans are and what they're doing. They're all doing wonderful things. I think that's it. New members, thank you. Welcome, Forrest and Larry. Great to have you as part of our club. Look forward to sitting beside you and having lunch with you, and hopefully that'll happen soon. If there's anyone, cart bucket is something that we can't quite pass the bucket, but Michelle takes checks and credit cards. So if you're so inclined, feel free to make a contribution to that. If there's anything that we can do for you during this this crazy time, please let us know back by emailing me or Michelle at the Rotary office. And so I guess that's it. So if there's, you might have anything else? I'm looking. All right, well, if not, we will conclude by saying the four-way test. Of all the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, great to see everybody. Have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. See you in 2 weeks.
Stay safe. Bye. Stay safe and be